Hello and welcome to Fahrenheit Performance podcast episode number 26. Today we have Big Dog Bannan, I've heard you called, Shayne Bannan here to talk to us. He is the High Performance Director for the SCF. He used to be the High Performance Director for the Australian Institute of Sport as well. And you're the General Manager for GreenEdge Cycling. So why don't you just give us a quick intro, Shayne?
Firstly, Martin, thank you so much for the invite.
Yeah.
I've got to say, what a great setup here.
Yeah, it's
you've
beautiful,
got,
isn't it?
and a great intro.
Yeah.
That was.
Thank you.
I suppose my journey started many years ago.
Yep.
I was a rider a few kilos ago.
Mm-hmm. I heard, so before when I taught a couple of my friends, or some people I know that you're coming on, they asked me to ask you about the Junior World Championships that you were in.
Oh, yes.
Is that true? You were
Mexico in 1980.
So you were in the Junior World Championships?
Was my first international experience at the age of 17.
Nice.
So I started racing in a town called Darwin in north of Australia. Climate very similar to Singapore. And we only had a very small club, maybe 20, 25 riders. Mm-hmm. But it was just there was a couple of elderly gentlemen, or in their 40s, elderly
in those days.
At that time, that had moved to Darwin, and they had been quite successful riders in Victoria.
Wow. Okay.
So they just brought this great experience, this great education, a lot of storytelling about Europe, about the Australian Championships, and that really got me hooked.
And when you're riding out there and it's a 3-hour ride, there's plenty of time to tell these stories, right?
There's plenty of time, particularly the roads of Darwin are quite flat and long and straight.
And odd.
With only kangaroos and road trains passing you. But I must say, I loved every minute of growing up in a country town and in such a small club. And from there, I spent a little bit of time in Adelaide, in South Australia, and in Melbourne, racing as an under 16. Then under 18, that I represented Australia at the Junior Worlds, as you mentioned. That was amazing. And then as a 20-year-old, I went to Europe and raced in Europe for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Retired at the age of 25.
Yep.
Because I think back in those days,
there were so few Australians in Europe, right?
There were so few Australians.
There were so few people outside of Europe in Europe for racing.
And you sort of, you made the decision, okay, I'm going to give this everything for X years.
Yeah.
If I get to a certain point and haven't got a pro contract, then I'll worry about what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't think about the swim back.
Yeah. Is that about the same time Phil Anderson was over there around?
It was a little bit before Phil Anderson. I think Phil got the yellow jersey in '83. Yeah.
Because he was like a pioneer. So you were like even before.
Yeah, well, you got Phil Anderson, then the guys that turned pro and started to make a name for themselves was Phil Anderson, Michael Wilson, Alan Piper, Clyde Sefton. Clyde Sefton was a little bit before me.
Okay.
Yeah. But I loved the Italian. I was based in Italy.
Yes.
Loved the Italian environment, the culture, the cycling culture. Yeah. Raced as an amateur there. So there was amateurs and professionals, and really enjoyed the teamsmanship side of it. But I got to a certain point that I think I might actually need to do something in my life aside from enjoying myself in Europe.
Yep.
And so I came back to Australia, came back to Darwin. Then my old coach, Charlie Walsh, and this would have been, I think I retired in about 1985.
Okay.
The 1985-86, I got a position with the Northern Territory government in youth sport and recreation.
Okay.
Doing a lot in Aboriginal communities. Yeah. Actually, we really enjoy that in rural areas. And probably mid-1986, my old coach, Charlie Walsh, who was the national coach at that time, gave me a call, and there was a coaching scheme.
Yep.
And he said, I'd like you to come back to Adelaide and be my apprentice coach.
Okay, nice.
Said there's good news and bad news. The good news is you've got the position for 3 years.
Yeah.
Bad news is we can't pay you.
Oh, well, the worst.
But you know what? I started coaching in Darwin, and I got the bug for it. And I sort of knew that cycling was my career.
It was like not just your passion; it was like a calling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I had no hesitation. Then I was fortunate that after a year, I actually started getting paid.
Yeah. So that's when you started.
That was a bonus.
Institute of Sport, Australian Institute of Sport is
Exactly. Yes.
Is that is actually in Adelaide or is that in Canberra?
The Australian Institute of Sport, the track program, was based in Adelaide.
Okay.
Starting from 1987.
Yep.
The road program was based in Canberra.
So the equivalent of that in Singapore would be sports
SSI.
SSI. Okay.
Yeah. SSI, but on a bit of a bigger scale.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So from there, Martin.
So you spent 24 years there after your initial 3-year contract.
I spent 24 years so the AIS and the Cycling Federation. It was all one.
Yep.
Okay. So the AIS was the high performance side of it.
Yep.
Cycling Australia employed us as national coaches.
Okay.
So I had various positions. I think my first position was the assistant track coach with Charlie Walsh. And then I took the position of the first female women's road coach. So took the women's team to the Women's Tour de France in 1987.
Because that was because a lot of talk about the Women's Tour de France now, but it used to have one and then they stopped it for a while. They
they had it. It started in 1986 and I think it went from 86 to about 90. I did 87, 88, 89.
Yeah.
Amazing events. So we used to start, it was the same time as the Men's Tour de France, except you started 14 days from the finish.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the men's stage was 240 kilometres.
Yeah.
The women's might have been 120.
Were they finish at the same finish line?
Same finish line, but start.
Oh, that's great.
20 kilometres back. So
was it in the morning of the race and then the men come in the afternoon, or?
Yeah, so the women would start. We'd start about 9 o'clock.
Yep.
The race would be finished about midday, 1 o'clock. The men would finish about 3 or 4.
Oh, that's so cool because then they get the same course, the same spectators, the same everything. Right?
Very much so.
Yeah.
So from there, I became the men and the women's national road coach, as well as being the assistant track endurance coach. And that was through until the Sydney Olympics.
2000.
Until 2000.
Yep.
Then I became the head coach in 2000. And one of the first decisions was, because after the Sydney Olympics, of course, all the funding goes towards preparation for the Olympics, and then it tends to drop off.
Yeah.
So we had to figure out some way of trying to keep the same quality
and the momentum
going. So we actually combined the road and track and called it endurance.
Okay.
Endurance, which made sense. So we moved the road from Canberra to Adelaide, and it became the endurance program.
Yep.
Yeah. And then we started taking. We actually set up an under-23 program in Italy in 1997.
Okay.
So and that's why I started going back to Europe. So I was probably 6 months in Europe, 6 months in Australia, until 2010. From 2010, I was full time in Europe.
Okay, and then once you left the Institute of Sport, you went to GreenEdge, correct?
Yeah. The story goes back a little bit. The World Tour had started.
Yes.
And whenever we used to catch up, so we used to catch up with the professionals for a training camp, and biomechanics, nutrition. We'd bring over the AIS specialist staff.
Yep.
We'd have it in Europe. We'd have guys like O'Grady, McEwen, Rogers, and so on and so on.
Yep.
And then at the end of the camp, we'd have a barbecue. And
so all those like yourself, Stuart O'Grady, Robbie McEwen, all those guys are on different teams.
They're on different
because
teams.
You're an Australian
exactly right,
organisation.
Martin, exactly right. So we talked to their team managers. Can we have their availability for 10 days? And it was leading up to selection for whether it's World Championship,
Olympics,
Olympic Games,
yeah.
Commonwealth Games.
Gotcha.
But we felt it was very important to
Camaraderie a little bit, right?
yeah, that's right. So at the end of the camp, we'd have a barbecue, we'd have a beer, and the main topic would be, when are we going to have an Australian team?
Yeah.
So this was sort of back in 91, 92,
I remember that.
93.
They even had like also called Pegasus something. Project
Yeah, Pegasus was 2010, 2009, 2000.
Yeah, but that never went.
But even a
through.
long way
Yeah.
before that. So I'd sort of been in the position of being the head coach and the high performance director. I had a lot of individuals, a lot of groups come with, okay, proposals, how do we start this?
Yep.
So I had a lot of
Preparation work.
work for that
The day.
phone call that came that day. So, and also I knew the guys, we were ready for it. So just fantastic to get that phone call.
Yep.
In 2009, my last year with the AS and with the national program was 2011.
10. Okay.
And then we started, that gave us 12 months to prepare to become, to hit the ground running, to become a World Tour team.
Yep. And that's not an easy thing, right? The World Tour has got massive sponsors. They've got caravans. They've got hotels. It's like a circus, like a traveling circus. There's people that just are dedicated to the team, full-time staff. It's not something that you can just pop out of a hat, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there was that side of it. There was the logistics. There was setting up the service.
Yes.
There was all the bureaucratics that went on behind the scenes with the bank guarantee, with getting the sponsors. And then, there was the signing of
the riders
and the ride riders as well, the signing of staff. Just to give you an example, Martin, our first year, and things are a lot bigger again in my last year, which was 2020, but the first year, 2012, we had a men's team and a women's team, so we were one of the first teams, World Tour teams, to have a women's team.
Yep.
So we had, 32 riders on the men's team, 12 riders on the women's team, and 100 odd staff.
Yeah.
So,
that's a big deal.
It's quite a big business.
Yes, it is.
So then you have the different nationalities. So we went through a real interview process, and there was maybe the team boss, of course, Jerry Ryan, is just a wonderful person, but my two offsiders, we worked as a team, was Neil Stevens and Matthew White, and we spent many hours together interviewing staff, interviewing riders. So it's not a matter of selecting the best riders. It's all about people.
Yeah.
And it's all about we have to hit the ground running. We have to have an impact in our first year.
Yeah.
And so it was a great adventure.
Yeah. Somebody asked me to ask you, were you the bus driver that hit the canopy at the Tour de France when the bus came down?
Really good story. And if the listeners get an opportunity, Google GreenEdge bus, and you will see what happens. But I wasn't the bus driver, but it was my fault.
Okay.
So really, really good story behind it. And whenever I do corporate nights, and it always comes up, and I've got a great video to show them. But basically, long story short, it was a hot day. It was the third stage in Corsica, 2013, 14.
I remember I was watching it when it happened. It was like, it seemed like chaos.
So we got, our hotel was only 800 metres from the finish line.
On the other side of the finish line. You got to pass through the finish line to get to the hotel.
Oh, it's a bit complicated to understand. But on the other side of the finish line, therefore on the other side of the course. So we made a decision. We had our team meeting, and we sort of thought, okay, best for logistics and everything else, we'll park the bus at the hotel.
Yeah.
A lot better.
Yep.
Otherwise, we'll have to spend a lot of time. The guys, when they finish, we'll have the vans there.
Yeah.
They'll towel themselves down, and that's a 5-minute ride to the hotel.
Yeah.
Pretty simple. So all was good until I turned up at the finish, and of course, we've got our boss there, Jerry, and he's got his family there. We're out at all the buses. Where's our bus?
Yeah.
Hot day, families getting hot, a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
VIP,
So all the sponsors and stuff are there as well.
the VIP area. No, it was just Jerry, really.
Okay.
The sponsors we weren't getting. The fourth stage was in. So this was the second stage. Third stage was still in Corsia. The fourth stage was in Nice,
Yep.
where all our VIPs were going to be.
Mm.
So the first few days in Corsica was pretty low key for us.
Yep.
Yep. So I turned up. He said, Shayne, where's the bus, mate?
Yeah.
Jerry, you want the bus here? No problem. So I called the bus driver, mate, can you bring the bus down?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's all barricaded up, but I'll try. So the gendarmes lifted out the barricades. Bus came down, came around the corner. There it is at the end of the straight. Jerry, bus has come. Yep, fantastic, mate.
Yep.
Family be happy. They'll get in the cool bus, have a couple of ice waters and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens, Martin, when the bus convoy goes through,
Yep.
which is approximately an hour and a half
Before the riders.
After the last bus goes through, they lower the gantry on
Okay.
the finish line.
Yep.
So
Which is the big inflatable thing, or
no, it's not inflatable. It's a solid structure.
okay.
Watch the video.
Okay.
There's shit flying everywhere. So when the bus is coming up,
Yeah.
because we didn't realise or
That they'd already
understand,
gone through.
we knew that all the buses gone through, but we didn't realise that they lower the gantry.
Okay. Of course, because you just drive your bus through normally. And
Exactly. So the bus is coming, and neither did all the other officials, because everybody's just, come through, you're right. And our bus driver, he's looking up, shit, we sure? Yeah, come through.
Yeah.
But of course, the bus hit the gantry. And I thought at that particular point in time that we were going to be the first team kicked out of the Tour de France for nothing to do with doping.
Yeah.
So it was. I mean, we look back at it.
You can laugh now.
And we even laughed an hour later.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, at that time,
Because I know
because
that.
we had to get the bus out
Yeah.
for the race to finish.
And then the
Because at one
radioing.
stage they were going to finish it 2 kilometres up the road.
That's the story I heard, is that they were radioing the riders already, telling them that they might be sprinting early.
And anyway, Martin, moral to the story: stick to the plan.
Yes. Okay. So then, at GreenEdge, it's a huge organization, right? You said 100 employees and all that sort of stuff. What do you bring from, like, what are the lessons learned from the World Tour now that you're sort of in more of a grassroots role? What are the lessons you can bring from there that are still applicable to us here?
Really good question, Martin. And I think we're talking about two different worlds.
Of course.
Okay, so I see what I did in Australia at the early days, and what we're doing here is setting it up for the future. So here is all about, first of all, respect to the great riders of the past, Darwin, Boone, Eway, Kelvin, Ilias, and then before that, because what they did by having success, winning medals at SEA Games, and knowing and understanding the challenges with the land, not many hills here.
Yeah, or winning a velodrome, gold medal without a velodrome.
Not too many events, no velodrome, no BMX track. So respect. Yeah. Absolutely. When I first came, I didn't really understand. Yeah. What the ecosystem.
So what are you actually? So you're sitting there at GreenEdge. You finish your contract with GreenEdge. How did who came to you, or did you come to? How did you end up here?
Martin, that's a really good question. So in my time at GreenEdge, being in an Australian team, Australasian team, you're always looking for sustainability with your sport directors, with your riders. They're concentrating on results, on day-to-day activity. Yeah. My job is to look at the overall plan, the overall strategy, sustainability. So I saw possibilities in Asia. So back in, I think it was 2015, well, we actually came here and rode the OCBC criterium.
Yes, I was there.
Simon Clark won.
Yep. Stuart Grady was here.
Stuart was second. Stuart was here.
Robbie McEwen was commentating.
Yeah, so that was 2012, 2013.
Yep.
So then we started to do a little bit in Hong Kong. One of my very good friends was back from the 80s, was the head coach for China.
Okay.
So we made a connection.
Yep.
We actually started a Chinese continental team that Hindley rode for, ended up winning the Giro d'Italia that Caden Groves rode for. So we had that team for about 3 years. We had a lot of Chinese riders.
Yeah.
So I used to probably travel to Asia 5, 6, 7, 10 times a year.
Yeah.
For two reasons. One, to assist in the development of cycling in Asia.
Yep.
Two, hopefully to pick up a partner, a sponsor for the future.
Yep.
Being a general manager of a World Tour team for 9 years is a little bit. It's fantastic.
Yep.
But it's quite exhausting.
Yeah, well, sure.
So after being sort of 23 years in Australia, 6 Olympic campaigns, then 9 years as a GM of a World Tour team.
Basically the pinnacle of the sport, right? The World Tour.
And the stress was never about the team and forming. The stress was about how can we keep this going, sustainability.
And the bigger it gets, the bigger it's harder to sustain,
after
right?
A lot of good discussion with Jerry, I felt that new blood was needed in a GreenEdge, and I needed a new project.
Yeah.
Okay. And I do enjoy starting stuff from
the ground up.
From the ground.
Yeah.
So I think that, and I went through. I was in contact with the guys at SCF via Dr. Seong, by Adrian. So we'd already built a connection. They'd actually asked me to look if they could recommend, if I could recommend,
if you'd help find somebody.
Performance director.
Yes.
After about a few months, I felt that would be, I think that would just suit me at the moment, to be reinvigorated, to get some energy back. Not that I wasn't loving, don't get me wrong, loving what I was doing. But I felt I think also for my own health, this was a fantastic way to, I'll put it, fall back in love with the sport again. Yeah. So I think I went through the interview process.
You did.
That's the way it goes. And which was great, because it was the first time I'd ever been interviewed for a job. But it was really good because it made me research what was happening here, ask a lot of questions. So it was a great way to start. Then actually getting here.
So what were your first impressions when you came? So you came just after COVID, right? 2021.
First impressions were, everybody was feeling it because of COVID. Although, I'd come from the epicenter, so I didn't. I saw it here as like I was in Italy when.
Oh, that's right, because it was China then Italy, right?
When we were just stuck in our houses, we couldn't leave our house, and just hearing ambulances going up and down the street.
Yeah.
Just not, because at that stage I lived by myself, so you just didn't see anybody.
Yeah, you go cabin, stir crazy or cabin fever.
That's right. So coming here and actually seeing people face to face, having a cup of coffee and so on and so on. So my first impressions were that here was a group of really passionate, enthusiastic people that were really after direction.
Yep. And Singapore has the resources to make it happen if you really need to, right? We're not talking, it's not a third world country where there's lack of funding, or not that there's a huge amount of funding in cycling, but people have good bikes and they're the good equipment, people are willing to train, people are sort of got their trainers at home, the athletes can sort of we can really do the work if we have to.
I suppose if you look at the main, let's call them challenges, I saw straight away was not enough kids riding bikes.
Yeah.
No facilities.
Yeah.
No BMX.
No BMX track. No velodrome.
Just
people riding the streets.
Roads to train, although they're good roads.
Yeah.
And they are good roads. So it's immediately, I felt what was there was facility.
Because in reality, right, if we're going to go on a ride on the road at 5 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to get some 13-year-old kid doing that. You're going to get 16, maybe 18-year-olds.
No, look, you need facilities, but particularly if, and there are literally thousands of people riding on the roads on the weekend when I first came here, and it still exists there.
Yeah.
How do we transfer that into racing?
Yeah, exactly.
So that was also a lot of questions going through my mind. Also, so many females riding on the weekends. How do we get more females interested?
Yeah, that's always been the problem with the racing, females in the racing system.
Exactly. So when I first arrived, I was, I wouldn't call it frustrated, but there was just a lack of understanding on my behalf. Why haven't we got a criterion once a week? Why can't we do this? Why? And as the great people at SCF and Max at SCF events, then I realised the obstacles.
Yes. They're very real obstacles as well. It's not like people are sitting there playing solitaire and not doing the work. It's actually real obstacles.
There is real obstacles. So then it was try to understand. Okay, well, I understand. I understand now that we can only ever have maybe 3, 4, 5 events max. And what else can we do?
Yeah.
And that's where we've come up with Geelong West. Yep, sure. It's not a velodrome.
Yep. But
we're now racing there once a month.
Yeah.
We're having 7 events there this year. We're doing the Gen Z series for kids, which we're doing. We've got 4 of those events.
That's for the little kids on balance bikes.
The under
right?
16s.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's for we do have balance bikes, but balance bikes is another community.
Yeah, it is.
And they're great. I mean, they get a couple of Saturdays ago, we had 120 under 6 riders.
Yeah.
And that's a great platform.
Yeah.
So this great, I know we're jumping around a lot here.
And that's fine.
But getting kids on bikes is been a real focus of ours.
Yeah.
Getting fundraising for a BMX track.
Yep.
That will be a game changer once we have that BMX track going. Because can you imagine out at Bricklands where they'll have a double tennis court or basketball court where you can have your push bikes out?
Yeah.
Then we've got a pump track.
Yep.
And the kids doing the push bike and looking over their mum, I want to do that.
Yeah, that
pump
looks
track.
more fun than...
Then they're on the pump track, they look at the kids going down the ramp.
Yeah.
Mum, I want to do that.
And then you see them jumping through almost BMX is almost like flying sometimes.
That's how you create. So the areas that I felt straight away were facilities,
Yep.
club culture,
Yep.
the club ecosystem, and I know there are some good teams out there. The Mavericks, Matadors, Allied Worlds, fantastic, but they're not developing our young Singaporeans. And that's what we need to develop.
Yeah. And
so the Garcias.
If you increase the kid support, the base of the pyramid gets bigger, right?
And that's exactly what we want. That's sustainability. So it's the ability to look 15 years ahead.
Yep.
Where do we want to be in 15 years? How do we build to get there?
Yep.
So that's really been my focus, Martin, is thinking 15 years ahead.
Yep.
Okay. Getting kids on bikes, club engagement, coach engagement. So engaging with, we have a coach engagement group which is 20 people.
Yep.
So the primary focus is teaching them, getting them ready for the journey.
Yeah.
I mentioned Team Garcia.
Yeah.
Amazing job. Yes, they've got 60 kids. They do a great job.
Yep.
Foundry. They also do an amazing job. as well. Wolfpack, I think they call themselves. So there's all these other groups emerging.
Yeah.
And as these push bike community kids get older, the parents get a buy-in, they'll start their groups.
Yeah.
So the idea in 3 to 4 to 5 years' time is to have 10 really active clubs that are looking after our junior development. At the moment, we're like, I think you've asked me the question, what is a high performance director?
Yes.
A high performance director is a guy that does anything and everything possible to create a high performance environment.
Yeah.
And that means from push bikes.
You build the road.
So being a part of everything.
Take away the traffic lights and then they can just ride.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay. And then so the takeaways from the World Tour and how they sort of translate into Singapore, I guess it's just the training and the culture and sort of how sort of what you know what it takes to get these guys to a certain level.
Well, that already existed.
Yeah.
When I got here, I was impressed by the advancement in training technology.
Okay.
I was impressed by the setup, the sports science setup at SSI. Sure, there were subtle changes. I was impressed by the commitment of the athletes that we had and have now in the national training squad.
Yeah.
So it was, I wouldn't say that there were wholesale changes made or have been made in that area. In high performance, there's no finish line, right?
Yeah,
we're always looking at a better way to do it. But the big changes needed to be more, needed to be developed at the level under.
So the infrastructure was already, some skeleton was already there. You just need more people to use it to get it sort of growing in a more organic way.
Yeah, we needed to
get the traffic, right? The riders.
Create the.
So how is the current crop of Singapore riders right now?
So we have it's only a small group, but we have a women's endurance group of 5 riders in Chiang Mai at the moment, training on the Chiang Mai track. Track racing will be at the SEA Games next year. So we're really understanding what we should prioritise in preparation for the SEA Games. So we have that group. We have the guys like Iman, Ryan, Willie, and some emergent talent coming through. That'll take a little while. I think a good example, when I first came, we took a team to the Tour of Thailand. And after Tour of Thailand goes for 7 days. After stage 2, we only had Boone left.
Because they didn't make the cut or
didn't make
crashed out or something.
Yeah, didn't make the cut, crashed out. But just really inexperienced. This year, when Mark took the group to the Tour of Thailand, the whole team finished. Nice. But this is only after 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
And they were actually animated the race. They were in breaks.
In the breakaways.
They were gaining more confidence. So, it takes time.
It's
nothing good happens overnight.
Yeah, and they said that's a bit like the sprinters mentality. Once you win a race, then anything is possible. You just got to get to the pointy end of the race to understand how it works and to see how it goes and things like that, right?
So I think it's, we're trying to expose our youth and our NTS group at the moment with more training camps, with more competition, Tour of Siak, Tour of Thailand. With the women, we do Tour of Boaz and Tour of Thailand, some one-day races. So I think we're building a really good core for the future. But we really need to.
So how do you so if I was 20 years younger or maybe 30 years younger and I wanted to join the Singapore team, right? How do you select the riders and what do they need to do to get your attention?
How we select riders, we do have trials. They're generally on in once a year in October, November.
Okay.
So that's to go into, first of all, there's the youth development squad. So therefore, for riders that just missed a cut of the national development squad.
Okay.
Now in the future, that youth development squad will be your clubs.
You
don't need to have that. So, but at the moment we're doing that. We're assisting whatever clubs we have with the junior development. So you would need to join the trials, which consists of just really basic stuff. Like we would take the group on a 5-hour ride. Go into Malaysia to see how. First of all, understand what training background they've come from, and that they need to be at a certain level to do the trials.
So in a certain level, are you talking about watts per kilo, or are you talking about
watts per kilo? Training volume. Probably more training volume.
Like 15 hours a week, or training or something
12,
like that. 12 to 15
hours a week. So training volume.
So there's like a prerequisite of these sort of things to get in the larger selection. And
now,
then
Martin, in saying that, we've put the bar pretty low because we want people to get
interested.
So I think it was about quantity as opposed to quality. But now we're starting to raise.
Now you can get a bit pickier,
raise the bar, yeah.
And then you just get to know them, and then is it results based at all, or is it just?
Well, national championships. I mean, we see what they do with national championships. Geelong West has been really good to understand their technique.
They're
cycling smart.
They're racing.
How they race craft, how they're sitting on the wheel, how they're coming past. Now, for any of you young riders listening, particularly at Geelong West, it's about looking at the finish line, going for the finish line. Far too many riders here, Martin, are looking behind. Far too many. So the quickest way to get to the finish line is to go straight and look at.
And you got to remember, it's not the strongest rider that always wins; it's the person that crosses the line first. That wins, right?
Exactly.
You can.
So it's a real bad habit that people have picked up here for some reason.
So that Geelong, this while we're talking about it, what is it, and how often is it raced, and what are the sort of races that are held?
Every Wednesday evening we have an open training session, so people welcome to come along. Geelong West is it
Geelong West Stadium, right?
Geelong West Stadium is a 442 metre athletics track that has been covered.
So then every Wednesday night.
Then once a month we have a competition.
Okay.
Now that competition.
So open training, anyone can just show up, and then is it free? Is it $10 or anything like that?
That's true.
Okay.
But we have our own coaches such as Kelvin Sim and Ilias. They're looking after the session.
Okay.
The races are mixed. They consist of your normal track races, your elimination, scratch race, point score.
Is it on track bikes or is it on road bikes?
Both are mixed. So there's, and you would know this, there's the fixie community. So we have about 25 fixies come along.
I love
regular, and they're great kids.
I love riding on a velodrome with a track bike. It is so much fun.
So we have proper fixed track bike racing, and then ABC grade with your normal road bikes.
So if your average Joe shows up on a month, the first whatever the month the race is, you just go to the C grade and you work your way through the grades.
True.
Yeah. Okay. And then the actual races cost money. Like, do you have to get insurance? Do you have to be a FCF member? What do you? Yeah,
you have to get either have a UCI license or a day license. I mean, there are Geelong West. It's not free of charge to use. So we have to pay for the sessions there. So I think the entry fee is around from $25 to $35, depending on whether you've got a year license.
Or if you need a day license.
Or you need.
And then day license will cover basic insurance, right?
Correct.
Okay. And that's really the only regular racing that we have in Singapore, right?
No, it isn't. So we have Darwin West. And now there when we first, when 3 years ago we started to promote e-cycling.
Oh yes, of course.
Cycling e-sport. And the main reason was to use as a vehicle to get into the schools. Now we have Virtual Cycling SG and HQ Foundry. Those are two private groups that are very passionate. They've got really good setups.
Yep.
And they've started a regular competition.
So is it like what bikes set up in there, or is it like trainers, like this sort of trainer, and you bring your own bike?
So HQ Foundry, Wahoo's.
Okay.
And Virtual Cycling Industry, based at YMCA on Orchard Road.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's really close to my house. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're
and that would be like Zwift racing or
Foundry is Mobush, and YMCA or Virtual Cycling is Swift, but they do also do some Mobush stuff as well.
Okay. And then do you find that translates well, like if someone excels in that racing, does that translate well to joining the national team or being a good outdoor cyclist?
Yeah, it actually does. There's been some really good case studies. Or Jay Vine. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Jay Vine come from Eastport, and there's also been a number of athletes as well. The SEA Games will be in Singapore in 2029.
Yep.
So one of the events for that are likely to be cycling esports.
Oh, nice. Because they did esports, like gaming esports in the last SEA Games. So cycling esports is not a big stretch.
So eventually it will become SEA Games discipline, an Asian Games discipline, and Olympic Games. It is a World Championship currently. So I think that's something that will, one, be a great vehicle to get into the schools.
Yeah. Because you could have inter-school competitions. It's really limitless, right?
It's going to take a little while to develop, but these two groups have started.
Yeah, cool. And then national championships was just 2 weeks ago, right? Yeah. How did they go? And then there's also an ITT coming up next or in a month's time as well, right?
The ITT is the 4th of August. Yep. Followed by the team's time trial, which are in September. That's right. For the road racing, I thought we had 270 starters.
Oh, wow.
We had our most ever in the youth categories.
Yep.
The racing was great. Boone was a really deserved winner.
Yeah.
So I thought it was good racing. We're a little bit limited where we can actually run the course.
Because this is the first time it's been back in Singapore. It was in Indonesia.
2 years. Yeah, it was in Indonesia last year.
Yeah, so when I was talking to Dr. Seong a few weeks ago, he said the main reason why it's in Singapore is to get the more youth involvement, because when you do take it away, like parents aren't going to let them kids go to Indonesia for the day racing, or it's expensive, or catching a ferry or passports and all that sort of stuff. So when you did bring it back to Singapore, that worked, right? You had more youths involved.
It did work. So we've got to really find, we've got to do an evaluation.
Yeah.
And we've got to find the best of both worlds. We need to really satisfy and make it a really good road championship for the elite, the amateur 3, to have a course that we can spend more time on, I think, so we can have the women in particular racing separately, have their own event.
Yep.
So I think there are a lot of improvements that we can run.
Okay. And then the ITT that's coming up, it's going to be a Tanamura coastal, I'm assuming, as well. Same course.
No, sorry, a shorter course.
So that each lap will be shorter.
10 kilometres.
And there'll be like 3 or 4 laps or something like that.
Yeah, well, the different categories. I think the elite is 4 laps. The senior masters and women with 3 laps, and we'll go down the various categories.
Yep. Okay. So you've been here what 2012? 3 years. 3 years, right? What are the biggest obstacles that you still have that are still sort of holding Singapore cycling back?
It's a work in progress. I think, Martin. I think making sure that our high performance program, our national training squad riders are getting enough overseas competitions, so getting exposed to more road racing at an Asian level, in BMX, in mountain bike, road and track, and that's why we're spending more time overseas where the budget allows us to.
Yep.
So that's really very important that we're exposing and getting our riders more experience.
Is there a big push to get a rider on it doesn't have to be a World Tour team or a continental team or something like that, so you don't have to, the SCF doesn't have to have the burden to keep training these people?
Yes, that is a consideration, and that, like, Darwin did a stage period for the GreenEdge.
Yeah.
We had Chelsea Tan ride for the Women's World Tour.
Yeah.
There are the possibilities out there, but it's got to fit in.
Of course.
And this is where Singapore is a little bit different to most other countries.
Yeah.
Most other countries, you hop on the plane and do it. In Singapore, there's academic, there's NS.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of other things to consider before people can make that.
And also, like I've talked to a few people about this before, is that Singapore in general doesn't have a sports culture where sports people make good money playing professional sports, right?
Look, it's evolving.
Yeah.
It's evolving now. It'll take some time. Donovan did make it can be done, and Donovan has proved that.
Yep. And Riyadh right now is on a.
And Riyadh right now, so it can be done.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. And then, so what are the big races that Team Singapore is going to be going for in the next year or so, leading up to the SEA Games, I guess?
Well, this weekend we've got a BMX group doing the Malaysian National Championships.
Oh, wow.
The weekend after, we've got our women's endurance group doing the Thailand National Track Championships. The major races after that, we'll be sending a female group to the Tassie Carnivals, which we've done in the last couple of years. There's events such as ACC Track, ACC Road, ACC BMX, ACC Mountain Bike, Tour of Siak, Tour of Buazi, Tour of Thailand. So there's a calendar that we're progressively filling in over the past 3 years that are our indicators for progression.
Okay.
We're also sending a junior male team, road team, to Japan for a 4-day tour in September.
Oh, that'll be fantastic. Cycling is actually pretty big in Japan, I think, especially because they've got the keirin culture, they've got the track culture and all that sort of stuff as well. And then one of the big questions is, now that Boone has just won the national championships, is he going to the SEA Games next year? It's up to him, I guess. Or
well, it's certainly up to him. But I mean, Boone has just been amazing.
Yeah. In
the past 2 SEA Games, getting a bronze medal in 2023, 22.
Yeah.
And then last year getting 4th.
Is he?
Very close. So Boone has been a great role model for the young kids, as was Eway and Nilius and Kelvin and Donovan. So Boone, I think he that was his priority for about 3 years.
Yeah, he has a new business now.
And now he has a new business.
And
so,
small children.
So for him, and that's right.
Yeah.
So for him to juggle now and hopefully still enjoy cycling, I think he's got probably other main priorities now. Yeah.
Okay. I guess my last question, SEA Games is at the end of next year. When are you going to start to form up the team? Is trials happening end of this year, or is it beginning of next year? I guess once you've got the team, you need to do some training camps.
Just try. Yep. Well, we've really continued since that's what the NTS is. It's a continuation. The women's team that we set to Bawazi and through Thailand, the core of that group is our SEA Games group. Yeah. The core of the group that did the men's tour of Thailand is the SEA Games group. But that's not to say it's a closed shop, because it isn't. If there's young talent coming through that's performing well at nationals or performing well at our trials, when we do have trials for Tour of Siak, which will be on in December, or Tour of Thailand, then those riders will be considered.
If you had, I'm just thinking out of the box right now, if you had some Singaporean kid living in Canada, for example, and he's just ripping it up over there, and then he knocks on your door and says, "Hey, I want to come back into the SEA Games," is that actually a possibility? Or
certainly is a possibility. I think the big thing is that it's done early, not done 3 months before. So the communication really needs to start now.
So put up your hand early and say, look, I've been doing these club races in Canada and I'm doing pretty well. And then...
so we get to talk to their coach, understand the volume of training that's being done, understand the characteristics of the athlete, follow their progression, be available to ride SIAC.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, training camps or something to get the chemistry
or any other events. Yeah. So for us, the selection is dictated by the SNOC. So they dictate selection and the selection period. Selection period will probably be from December 1 to mid-October next year. That will be the selection period that we have to come up with performances that will guarantee us selection.
So you just put up recommendations to the Olympic Committee, and then they will officially agree or disagree with what your recommendations are.
We'll put up recommendations based on salt.
Of course, like putting up a whole bunch of resumes, and then they can choose who will formalise the actual text.
So that'll be for the BMX, for mountain bike, for road, track. Also another challenge, Martin, is we don't know yet what events will be at Sea Games.
Yeah, I find that very strange that they...
Yeah, well, apparently that's what is it. Yeah. But it is what it is.
Yep.
So, we just try and preempt what events there may be. We don't really know the course for the road races yet. But that's okay, because, you just generalise.
Because if it's in Thailand, right, I think they're coming up, so then you can maybe... If the Thai team is strong at hills, you know that they're probably going to put the course to suit their own riders, right? Yeah. Okay.
Look, I got to say, for me personally, the enthusiasm of the people here, but I saw your interview with Dr. Siong, saw your interview with QX.
Yep, Ascent Bikes.
Ascent Bikes, and Ascent Bikes are great.
I think they're doing great things. They're genuinely trying to do something a little bit different and sort of pushing the envelope a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. But in supporting our event at Geelong West, for example, QX has just been amazing with the support there and providing incentives and so on. So the amount of passionate people that I see around Singapore in the bike shops, riding the roads, it's a really good start.
Yeah,
it's really... It has made the foundation a lot easier, and I see that passion with the push bike community. So I think we're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
Once we have the BMX track built, the next step, of course, is a velodrome.
Yeah.
There's still a little bit to go in that, but I think the cycling community in Singapore should be complimented, I think, with the good work that they're doing.
And the good work that you're doing. I think we could talk all night, but I probably we should do a part 2 of this eventually, but we should wrap this up.
It's not about the bus, Martin. I'm over it, all right?
I won't ask about the bus next time.
My hair was red.
Well, my hair wasn't as grey before I came to Singapore as well, so maybe something in the weather here.
No, it's certainly been great chatting, and it's good to sort of reminisce a little bit on the past.
Yep.
But it's about looking forward now, isn't it? And what we can develop over the next 10 to 15 years.
So, what's the best way to get a hold of you? Just call up the SCF and ask for the high performance director, and then it'll go to you. Or I saw that you are on Instagram at Shayne Bannan 5.
Yeah,
but I don't think you use it very much, right?
Look, mate, I only learned what a hashtag was a couple of months ago. I thought it was an animal. I am getting better.
Okay.
Better at it.
Yep.
Yeah, I suppose nobody has ever messaged me on Instagram, but they can do that.
Okay, I will. As soon as this is done, I'll message you on Instagram. Okay. It's a Shayne with a Y. Y,
Shayne
right?
with a Y, that's it. Or I'm generally at the races. So. Tap me on the shoulder.
Yes, introduce yourself. Okay. Well, Shayne, it's been great. Thanks a lot for coming by, and I think we'll do another one of these soon, okay?
Look forward to it, Martin. Thank you.